All right. So this is an interesting one. This comes from Facebook from Carl. What colors do you recommend for a colorblind person to use when designing a tartan?
Gray.
I suggest you have someone help you choose the colors. Colorblind or not, it really depends on the color palette that you're choosing. Do you want an ancient general color palette, or to stay safe with it, if you have an issue seeing the colors, then I would stay within a color palette, whether it's ancient colors, whether it's modern colors, whether it's weathered colors. It's already a tried and true color palette, so I would probably stick with that if you have that issue, kind of looming over you.
Yeah, I think I think you just made
Exactly.
Now I was gonna say
More scotch?
probably not. If there's a tartan you like the colors of, and you like how the colors blend, then that could be your template, and just say, okay, this tartan calls for this, and this, so I'm going to take those and use those to color, to make my design. That way I can be pretty sure that even if I'm not seeing them the same way other people see them, I know I have a pleasing combination. So basically using exactly what you said, but saying use a current tartan as a template for the palette you're going to choose, not just the type of color palette as in ancient, weathered, or muted, or whatever, but the specific 6 colors, and then build your design that way. It's always good to get a second pair of eyes on a tartan design, whether you're colorblind or not. So, have somebody who can look at it with you and say, well, you might want to consider changing that up or whatever. And focus on whether you like the contrast more than anything else. It's if you're not seeing the difference between reds and blues or reds and greens, then maybe you don't use so many reds and greens, but you want to make sure you have a pleasing contrast so that you can enjoy it.
Yeah, there's actually a yes, 100%. B, ask someone you trust, like, hey, I really like the way this tartan looks. Is this a good looking tartan? Maybe ask a couple people who have independent, color vision that can see it. And one of the things that, exactly what you just said, we actually did. Dr. Tulloch is a customer and friend of ours, and he wanted me to design a tartan. And he said, I love the County Dairy tartan from House of Edgar.
Okay.
So I love the interplay of those particular colors.
Okay.
So I want me, to design a tartan for him, or for me, whatever. I forget where I am in the thing. But anyway, design a tartan using the County Dairy colors, period. So I just figured out, talked to the mill, said, okay, what specific shades of green, blue, orange, whatever, are you using in this particular tartan? And then we designed a tartan for him using only those colors, and made sure it's the exact same color palette, and we just had the same mill weave it, and he was very, very pleased with the finished product.
Yeah.
And that's kind of a very astute observation, and that worked for him as well. Mm-hmm. Mac, you had something else?
Yeah, it might be a good idea, especially for some newer people that are watching for the first time, if you can just quickly, I know we've done it in other videos, but ancient, modern, weathered, muted.
Sure.
Right. What are the color palettes? Yep.
Sure. Generally, when you're talking about tartans, clan tartans specifically, not necessarily the modern universal ones that are going to, call on different colors or different shades of the same color and that kind of thing, but going back 100, 200 years, particularly clan tartans, like the one that I am wearing here. This is the McEwen Modern Tartan. I'm calling it modern because it's using navy blue, bottle green, scarlet red, and a bold yellow kind of color. If this were to be an ancient, McEwen Ancient, this navy blue would be like a light sky blue. This green would be a light grassy kind of green. The red would be more of an orange kind of color, and the yellow would be a little bit paler. In a modern, in a muted tartan like Eric has on here, the red is not scarlet red. It's more of a blood red. The green is more of an olive green. A blue would be like a stormy sky blue. Weathered tartans would have the blue become sort of a steel gray kind of color. The greens would become a brown. The red would be like a salmony kind of red. And the yellow would be a very pale, goldish kind of yellow. So it's a color palette based on the tartan. Now, it's the same tartan because the thread count is the same. The definition, a thread count is defined, or a tartan is defined by its thread count. So the thread count is the exact same. It's just the color variations of green or of blue or of red are a little bit different depending on the color palette.
Yep.
Does that make sense? Does that help you out there, Mr. Mack?
Yes.
Since you needed some help figuring out what a modern and ancient color
making
tartan is.
kilts
Well, there
for
was
how
a
long
question
and
on
still
there,
forgot?
so that's why I'm brought it up.
I'm kind of disappointed that you've been here for, like 12, 14 years now, Mac, and I have to explain this to you over and over and over.
Well, at least the mills sometimes label the material when it comes in.
That's the only way you've gotten by, isn't it?
Exactly.
Cheating us this whole time. Wow.
So which tartans do you prefer? Ones that are brand new universal tartans? Do you prefer clan tartans and historical tartans only? Or have you designed your own? If you want to design your own tartan, go over to usakilts.com. We actually have a free-to-use tartan designer where you can play around with all the colors, all the thread counts, and design a tartan specific just for you.